Good evening. How's everybody tonight? Good, I hope. I first of all wanted to thank all my new subscribers. I love you. Thank you for the comments. They're beautiful. And I hope we can do these journeys together. Um, I actually wanted to jump right in because I've just done some meditation. I've just listened to some spiritual CDs, A Battlefield of the Mind. Um, and mentally prepared myself. If you watched my part one, The Butterfly Flies, it's about my abuse sexually, mentally, physically, spiritually as a child between my brother and my dad, um, ranging in the age between 4 and 5, progressing to the age 11, 12 years old. So if you want to catch up, you can watch that video and then watch this one and complete the journey with me, because I've kind of skipped around to other videos with things that are going on in my life. So anyway, I'm gonna start where I ended off, which was where I had went to my brother originally for help or to ask him questions, because I obviously didn't know this was wrong, um, what my dad was doing. So I had went to him for help, and lo and behold, his kind of help was the same kind. So I didn't get very far with that. Um, Between the both of them, this continued for a long time. There was a point where my stepmom got suspicious that something was going on and she started taking it out on me. I finally told her everything that was going on because, again, I didn't know it was wrong. I thought she already knew. And, you know, I I don't know, I'm flabbergasted still to this day that she didn't believe me. She did not believe me for 1 second, even though she knew that there was infidelity in the relationship. My dad was a chronic cheater. She would drag me out at night looking for him while she was intoxicated, find him at bars with other women, take me to their houses, find him there. She obviously knew that he had some kind of problems. He was into porn, all kinds of things like that. um, Let me put out my cancer stick, my bad addiction that I haven't let go of. So anyway, um, when she didn't believe me and she got as angry as she did, I knew something was wrong. I knew something was very, very wrong at that time. Because why was she mad? Why didn't she believe me? This was something that I always thought that she knew was going on. You know, I thought it was something that happened with all dads and daughters and brothers and sisters. Um, I'm freezing today, so I'm drinking some tea. Um, so once she was aware of it, I seen that there was more conflict going on in the house between her and my dad. Not so much my brother, and he was still kind of doing his thing. He was a couple years older than me, and he just continued. And this is kind of graphic, and a lot of people are probably going to say, but I got really used to it. Seriously used to it, and I don't know what I felt about it. At times, I knew it was painful. I guess I just thought it was supposed to be. Um, I don't know. I loved my brother, and I loved my father, with everything that I could at that age. As I grew in the ages, 7, 8, 9, when I was going to school, my behavior was pretty unordinary, and I had quite a few teachers pick up on it. Um, I had never really shared with anybody what was going on, other kids or anything like that, but I just had I had promiscuous behavior already by the time I was 10 years old. You know, I was flirtatious. Um, I was very sexual. Masturbation was part of my life. I did notice that some of my friends, which I had very few because I wasn't allowed to have friends come over to my house, um, didn't quite act like I did, so I knew something was wrong. Everything went, excuse me, something in my throat. Everything at home was the same old, same old. Um, this is really an emotional stage for me to get into. This is how it all unfolded, and I've only shared this with a select few, which have been therapists, a sponsor from the NA program, and a pastor. So to share it on this video is very hard. I've also shared it with my daughters and obviously my husband, but that's it. I've never made it public, but I think I'm okay with it today. If I'm not, I don't have to post the video. When I was 11, almost 12 years old, I became pregnant. I had no clue what that was either. I was an early bloomer as far as my menstrual. I had started that when I was 9, which was very scary too. But anyway, so anyway, I was 11 and I got pregnant. Well, it's a little hard to keep things under the rug when that goes on. I remember getting bigger and bigger, and nobody really said anything to me. Probably, now that I've went back, I've done hypnotherapy, intense therapy. Nobody really said anything to me until I was probably about 4 months along. And I remember a nurse taking me into her office and asking me, was I being abused at home? No. She said, have you been to a doctor? No. You know, she asked me quite a few questions, and my response was no to all of them. I remember my mom and dad having to come to the school and pick me up, and they were in the principal's office for quite a long time. And later, when they took me home, the police came to our house. They talked to them, they talked to my brother. I guess they explained that I was a troubled kid, or tried to say that I was a troubled kid, that I was having sexual intercourse with boys my age and older, which wasn't the truth. I was flirtatious and I was, you know, touchy-feely because that's what I knew. But I had never had sex with anybody other than my abusers. Nothing happened. Nothing happened after that. I delivered a child when I was 12 years old, a little boy, and his name was Michael. And you know, I got to tell you, even though this mind cannot comprehend what went on, how he got there, I mean, by then I kind of knew a little bit about pregnancies and, you know, things like that, what I heard, what I read. But he was a beautiful baby, and I gotta tell you, I loved Michael more than anything in this world. he was the only thing I had that kept me warm, that kept me safe, that made me feel good, and made me complete. The really sick part of this is that my parents, my stepmom and my dad, they built a shrine to him. Imagine that, a shrine. I mean, his room was like the rich and the famous. Um, they took him everywhere. They did everything with him as if he was their child. And I think some people thought that somehow he was adopted. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I was pretty young still and pretty naive when it came to all that. Michael died at 3 months old of SIDS. Crib death is what they called it back then. I found him in his crib one morning about 5 o'clock, and he wasn't breathing. He was cold, and my mom rushed me out of the room. She called 911, and the coroner came, and that was the last time I seen Michael. I gotta tell you that I still to this day celebrate his birthday every year in March. I think about him all the time. I have pictures of him. He was my first son, and he will always be my first son, no matter how he was conceived. And I miss him, and sometimes I think it would have been a horrible thing had he lived, because I don't know what kind of life it would have been for him or for me. But on the other side, I wish he would have, because there's been a hole in my heart and a void in my life since that little boy's death. I'm sorry if this is disturbing to some, but it's me, it's myself, it's part of my journey, and I needed to get that out there about Michael. You know, when you're that age and something like that happens, and it's so traumatic and tragic, it's forever life-changing. So that's part of my journey. I don't have much more time on there to get any deeper into it, but I will. I will do a part 3 because right after that became very dysfunctional for me. I became a very raging girl. I became isolated. I started drinking. And that's where my addiction started. Where his life left off, my addiction started. And not just one addiction, one of many. So on that note, I'm gonna drink some more tea because it's freezing here and it warms my body, and I'm going to probably take my dogs for a walk, and they're right at my feet. So anyway, everybody have a good evening. I hope you tuned in. I hope it wasn't too graphic for you. I look forward to getting back on here tomorrow morning and seeing what everybody's doing. So everybody have a great evening. I hope you're all blessed. I'll, pray for you, pray for your families. If you have any questions, comments, whether they're positive or negative, please leave them for me. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.